Hi YouTube family, we are going to be reviewing the new Morphe palette. It is the 39S Such a Gem palette. As you can see, this is a big palette. It's huge. It's really big. There are beautiful colors in here though. You have some very warm colors with the browns, and you have some very cool colors with all of the purples, and then you also have some taupes and some grays in here. Now, one thing I will tell you guys about, and I'm not going to swatch this because I know that a lot of people have swatched this whole thing before, and I will tell you a couple of things about it. First of all, this glitter right here works really well. However, I probably wouldn't use that unless I was going to a party or something. You are going to need some glitter glue for it, because by the end of the night you're going to have that glitter fall out all over the place. It is a pretty glitter. It's kind of a coppery color. So the reason that I was so excited about, because I thought all of these were going to be metallics. They're not. They are metallic toppers, meaning they're a wash of metallic color without really being the color. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to swatch these for you. Now, as you can see from my swatches right there, they don't look anything like they do right here in the pan. They look really vibrant in the pan, but on my hand, they're just toppers. I do have this one right here as a wash over top of the white that I used today, right in the middle of the eye. And then I went ahead and I used this color right here, which is probably the most vibrant purple in the whole thing, and I love this color right here too. It's a blue pink matte, and it's just a beautiful color. The colors are pretty in here. The mattes are really nice. I did feel like I needed to build up those mattes quite a bit. I'm not saying that they're not saturated, because as you can see right here on my fingers, they're pretty saturated. But as you're working with them, they do take a little bit to build up. Now, as far as blending, they blend like a dream. But it's not going to be like an Anastasia palette where you just barely dip your brush into it and then you get a ton of color. It's not like that. So you're going to have to work a little bit more with it. I really love that they also threw in all of these really cool tones down here. But if you're not one that doesn't like metallics, you might really like this, because it could get you into shimmers without, you know, having that huge bam in your face color. These mattes, they are really good, and some of the shimmers are fantastic as well. It's just that it is like a hit and miss palette. I would say that as I'm looking at it and as I'm working with it, I'm 70% happy with it. The 30% comes from, why didn't they just make these metallics instead of making them metallic toppers or just wash toppers as with a little bit of sparkle in them? So that's where my holdup comes with this palette. And the size of it, I feel like it's a little bit not terribly functional. I could have just really liked it if they had taken it and they had split it right here, taken this color right here, brought it down here, taken all these colors out, and just had half a palette. That would have been actually really perfect for me. I am probably going to end up depotting this because it is so bulky. It is so hard to work with, and there are some colors in here that I absolutely think are great, but I don't want to have this huge of a palette, and it just doesn't work for me to be this big. But if you're thinking about getting it and you want to depot it, this works out to be about 90 cents a pan. And when you think about, you know, Colourpops are $4 a pan, Makeup Geeks are $6, even Coastal Scents are, I think, $2 or $3. I can't remember. But, you know, when you're looking at it that way, you are getting a good bargain on it. So $35, and I used a code and I got 10% off, I think. You do have to pay shipping, which is a bummer with Morphe, but you have to do that. So I don't know if this is going to be coming like to Ulta or anywhere like that. I would assume that eventually they will bring it there. But it's really a pretty palette that I enjoyed working with for me, because I am such a purple person. But that's just my thinking on it. Okay, we're going to get into the tutorial and my final thoughts on it so that you can see this look. And yeah, let's get started on that tutorial for you guys. Okay, my friends, so first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna prime your eyes. I like the NYX Proof It. It's a waterproof primer. It works really good during the summer when things are so warm. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go in and I'm going to do my bottom waterline with a black. You can use any black you want to. This is from Thrive Cosmetics, and I don't really have an opinion about this. I got this in PR, and it was supposed to be, you know, the most wonderful that stayed in your waterline forever. Well, it really doesn't. I find that if I go in to my waterline one more time after this, then I'm gonna have it stay in my waterline a little bit better. But I like a black waterline. If you don't, use a nude pencil. And then the other thing that I like to do when I'm doing my primer, I like to, you know, I put a dot of primer on each one, and then I'll put a dot of concealer on each eye too, and mix it together as I'm blending it out, so the primer gets mixed with the concealer and it kind of does a blurring out of any redness or anything I have. All right, so I'm gonna clip this hair out of my eye a little bit here. So we're gonna do the tape today. We're gonna go from the tail of the eyebrow into the corner of the eye, and this little hanging over piece right here that you have when you have a hooded eye, try to stay away from that a little bit. You can't really completely get away from it, but you're gonna bring your eyeshadow down a little bit more. I'm gonna use this bright pink right here. It looks like a pale pink on camera, but it's quite a bright pink, and I'm just using that pink as a transition color. So you guys know that when I do tutorials for you guys, I always tell you start with a very light touch. Basically just follow your crease over a little bit above it and just keep going with this stippling motion. All right, you guys, the next one I'm going in with is a Morphe E18. It's kind of a stubby shader brush. So it's kind of dense and a little bit stiffer. But I'm going into this color right here, which is a pretty bright purple. I'm gonna take this color and I'm gonna go on the inner third. And I'm gonna build that up. And then I'm gonna use it on the outer third. Paying attention to the part that tails out towards your eyebrow a little bit. You can see how I used a little bit of a lighter hand on the inner third. That's because I don't want it to get too dark, but I am using that same color. Same thing on the other eye. Okay, after I lay that color down, I'm gonna pick up a medium shader brush. This is the Morphe M433, and then I'm just going to take that color and I'm just going to wash it across there to blend it with the transition color that was just laid down. So we're just going to kind of do a lot of blending here, and sometimes this part can take the most time. The tape really helps guide you and keep you from, you know, taking this out too far or not even taking it far enough. That can be a problem too. Continuing to blend towards the eyebrow. Come in and blend it into the crease really well. And then I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to go into the color that's right next to it that's just a little bit deeper. I don't want this to get too dark too fast, so use a really light hand right here. We're going to darken up this outer part just a bit. Okay, at this point I want you to go in with a chubby pencil. You can also do this with concealer on a flat shader brush if you want to. I use the Wet n Wild brow pencil. I also use the Benefit High Brow pencil. Anything that's going to give a little bit more grip at this point, and we're just going to put that right in the middle so that we can have kind of a base for what we want that color to pop right there in that middle part. And it doesn't have to be pretty because it can be blended like crazy. Now I just have a little flat brush, a little flat paddle brush from Juvia's Place I got in a kit. And I'm gonna take this color that looks like a cream white, and I'm just gonna load that brush, and then I'm just gonna put it over all of the part that we just put down, all of that concealer or the chubby stick. And that's what's gonna really help that color to pop. And I'm doing it in kind of like a triangle on there. Don't worry about precision at this point either, because basically all we're trying to do is just lay a bunch of color down here in a triangle. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Little bit, you know, careful on not going into the other colors, but mostly we're just trying to lay down that white a lot and really pay attention down by your eyelashes. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back into that brush that I was shading with, and I'm just gonna go back and forth until I feel like that is really blended well. I'm not going right into the middle of the shimmer color because I want that to be still really super bright, but I'm continuing to blend a lot. Now, can you look and see how it looks like I've got a line right there? I don't want that, so I'm gonna pick up that paddle brush again, and I'm just going to kind of try and extend that just a little bit in. Same thing on this side. You just really want to work with it until you feel like you've gotten a look that looks really blurred and really seamless. And you might need to go into one or two of those other colors that we were using. Okay, and then I'm gonna go into the pink color in the big pan right here that was next to the pink that we used as a transition color. And when you look at it, it looks like it's gonna be a lot on camera, but I'm just gonna tap it across that white. And all it's going to do is give it a luminosity. There's really not a lot of color. It's just like a topper. So it's pretty, but it's not one that you could just use on its own. Okay, so going to take that tape off. I'm going to go put my concealer on, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I want you to take a pencil brush, and I want you to go back with your shadow, and I want you to take that pencil brush and just load it up with some of that shadow primer, and then I want you to run it underneath your eyes. This is going to help your shadow to stick. And then I clean that off with a towel really good. And then I'm going to go in with this kind of a muted purple that was next to the bright purple that we used on the top. But this is a little bit more muted. And I'm just going to stay out there on the outer 2/3 of my eyelid or of my eye, smudging it out really well. Same thing on the other eye. And then I'm going to clean off that brush again. And I'm going to go in with that beige white color we used, off-white color that we used. And I'm just going to do the inner corner. Not a lot, just very lightly. Just to give a bit of brightness right there. And then I'm going to take the brush the way it is, and I'm just going to run it all the way across, back and forth to get everything to look good together. Okay, you guys, I am going to go off camera. I'm going to use my eyeliner on my really tight line, my top lash line, and I'm going to put on my mascara, and I'll be back with you. Okay, you guys, there it is. There's the finished look. I really do enjoy this palette. The great thing about this palette for me is that I love purple so much, and it does give you such a variety of purples and finishes on it. I will confess that I have not worked with a lot of the browns in here, but I've worked with just about everything else in here. All the pinks, the plums, the purples, and even the grays, and everything turned out really pretty. But there are a few misses in here. So I would say that, you know, if you're one that doesn't mind working with toppers, and if you just want to go in with an eyeshadow base, put it on your lid, and then choose one of these, you're going to be perfectly happy, because all it's going to do is just give you a wash across your eye, and it's going to look almost glass-like with a little bit of glisten on it. So that's really pretty. So I hope you did enjoy seeing the tutorial, and I hope that you did enjoy seeing the little review of the palette. It's one that I like. I'm glad I have. It's a little bit bulky to, if you wanted to travel or anything like that. It's even a little bit bulky to have right here on my vanity, but I love the purples, and I've been enjoying it a lot, and it does make a really beautiful look. If you did enjoy seeing my review of this, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You guys all take care of yourselves. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you all in my very next video. Love you guys. Bye-bye.